1. Introduction. My name is Renaa. I am 25 years old. My life changed 2 years ago when my father passed away. After he died, my stepmother took control. She managed our house and all our money. I had no job and little money saved. This made me very dependent on her. I felt I could not make my own choices. One rainy night, my stepmother called me to the living room. Rain fell heavily outside. Her face was calm, but her eyes looked cold. She told me something important. She said I must marry a man named Nick. This news surprised me. I did not know Nick well. I had met him only a few times. Our meetings were short. I did not understand why she wanted me to marry him. She said this marriage was for family business. She explained it would help our family's future. She spoke about money and security, but I did not believe her. I thought she had another reason. I suspected this marriage was for her own benefit. She wanted to gain something for herself, perhaps more money or power. My father had trusted her, but I often felt uneasy about her plans. I wanted to say no. But before I could speak, she looked at me directly. Her voice became harder. She told me what would happen if I refused. She said if I did not marry Nick, I would have to leave the house. She said I would become homeless. This threat made me very scared. I had nowhere else to go. I had no family to help me. My father was gone. I felt completely alone. I felt very trapped. I had no job and no money. I could not see any way out. If I left, I would have nothing. I would be on the streets. If I stayed, I would have to marry a stranger. The idea of marrying Nick, a man I did not know and did not love, made my heart heavy. My life was about to change. I had to face this problem alone. The rainy night outside matched the sadness inside me. I felt helpless. This was the start of a very hard time. 2. The wedding day. The wedding day arrived too fast. The sky was clear, not rainy like the night before. Everything felt strange. There were not many people at the wedding. Only a few family friends and some business partners of my stepmother were there. The room where we married was small. It had pretty flowers everywhere. White and pink flowers decorated the tables. Soft music played. It was a beautiful setting, but I could not feel happy. My heart felt very heavy, like a big stone was inside it. I wore a white dress. It was simple but nice. My stepmother had chosen it. She stood nearby, smiling at everyone. Her smile did not reach her eyes. She looked very pleased. Nick came and stood next to me. He wore a dark suit. He looked very handsome. His hair was neat and his face was calm. But I could see in his eyes that he was not happy. He did not smile. He looked straight ahead, not at me. We were two strangers, standing together for a marriage neither of us truly wanted. The silence between us was loud. It felt like a heavy blanket. We waited for the person who would marry us. The officiant began to speak. He talked about love and partnership. His words felt empty to me. I thought about my father. I wished he was here. He would not let this happen. But he was gone, and I had no one to help me. My stepmother had all the power now. There was no escape. Then it was time for us to speak. We said our vows. My voice was very quiet. Nick's voice was also low. We promised to be husband and wife. It felt like a dream, a bad dream. It was hard to believe this was real. After we said our vows, the officiant said, "You are now husband and wife." He told Nick to kiss the bride. Nick turned to me. He gave a very quick, light kiss on my cheek. It was not a real kiss. It showed how little we knew each other, how little we felt. There was no warmth, only a brief touch. After the short ceremony, my stepmother came to me. She held some papers. They were marriage papers. I had to sign them. My hand shook a little as I wrote my name. I felt like I was signing away my freedom. My future felt uncertain. As I finished, my stepmother leaned close. She whispered in my ear. Her voice was cold. She said, "Remember, no money after he dies." Her words were like ice. They made me shiver. I looked at her, but she just smiled. She walked away to talk to the guests. I felt alone, even with Nick standing next to me. The wedding was over. My new life, a life I did not choose, had just begun. It was a day of promises, but no joy. 3. My new home. After the wedding, Nick took me to his house. It was a very large place. The house felt cold and silent. It had high walls and big rooms. There was no sound, only silence. Only our footsteps on the floors made noise. The silence was heavy. It made me feel alone. He showed me a room. "This will be your room," he said. It was a guest room, not a wife's room. The room was plain. It had a bed, a small table, and a chair. No personal things or pictures were there. It felt like a hotel room, not a home. I put my small bag on the bed. Nick left soon. The door closed and silence returned. In the first days, we spoke very little. We were quiet in the same room. I did not know what to say. I did not know him well. We did not ask about each other's days. Our meals were silent. We ate our food, looking at our plates. The large dining room felt empty. I tried to avoid him. I stayed in my room most of the time. I read books. I looked out the window. If I heard him, I waited until he passed. I went to the kitchen only when he was not there. But sometimes we met. We saw each other in hallways or rooms. Our eyes met for a short moment. Every time I saw him, I felt strange emotions. First, anger. I was angry because I was forced to live here and my life was not free. Then, curiosity. I wanted to know more about him. Who was this man? What did he think? Why was he so quiet? I looked at his calm face. And then a little fear. He was tall and looked strong. I did not know if he was good or bad. My stepmother said bad things about him. I did not know what to believe. This fear was not strong, but it was always there, a small, cold feeling. I began to wonder why he agreed to this marriage. He did not seem happy. He did not smile. He did not talk to me as a husband. If he did not love me, why did he say yes? Was he forced to, or did he have a secret reason? I thought about these questions often in my new home. It was a big question. The house felt like a cage and a mystery. I spent my days thinking, observing, and waiting for Nick's secret. The large house was always quiet at night. I usually went to my guest room early. I tried to read, but my mind was often busy. I thought about my new life, this strange marriage. Nick was always polite, but he did not speak much. I still wondered why he agreed to marry me. He seemed as unhappy as I was. One night I could not sleep. It was very late. The house was dark, but then I heard a sound. It was a voice. Not a quiet voice, but a loud one. It was Nick. He was talking on the phone. His voice was full of anger. This was new. I had never heard him sound like this. I slowly got out of bed. I walked quietly to my door. I opened it a little. I listened carefully. Nick was in a room nearby, perhaps his office or a study. I could hear his words clearly now. "She forced me to marry her," Nick said. His voice was very strong. My heart stopped. Who was she? My stepmother. It had to be. But why? My stepmother told me Nick wanted to marry me. She said it was for family business. Then I heard more words from Nick. "I need the will money," he said. "It's the only way." My heart started to beat very fast. It raced in my chest. Everything suddenly became clear. Like a puzzle, all the pieces came together. My stepmother had lied to me. She told me Nick wanted this marriage. But she also lied to Nick. She must have told him that I wanted to marry him. The truth was like a cold wave. Nick did not marry me because he loved me. He did not marry me because he wanted to. He married me because he needed money. His father had died, and his will said he would get money if he was married. This was the secret. This was why he agreed. My stepmother was very clever and very cruel. She used both of us. She used me because I had nowhere to go. She used Nick because he needed his father's money. We were both caught in her plan. We were both victims. I stood there in the dark hall. A strange feeling grew inside me. It was not just anger at my stepmother. It was also a new understanding for Nick. He was not just my quiet, distant husband. He was like me. He was trapped too. We were both forced into this life. The silence of the house no longer felt cold. It felt like a shared secret, a shared burden. What would happen now that I knew? 5, we talked together. The next morning, the house was quiet. I knew I had to speak to Nick. I found him in the kitchen. I took a deep breath. "Nick," I began, "my stepmother told me something. She said I wanted to marry you. She said I was very eager for this wedding." Nick stopped drinking his coffee. He looked very shocked. "What?" he asked. "She told me you needed to marry me for money. She said you asked for this marriage." A moment of silence passed. Then he spoke again. "So she tricked you too," he said. His face showed anger and understanding. He had believed her lies just as I had. For the first time, we sat down and talked for hours. The coldness between us slowly melted. We shared our separate stories about my stepmother's deception. It was strange to finally speak openly. We found out we were both her victims. Nick told me about his stepmother. She had cheated his father in business years ago, taking a lot of money. This made his father sad. After his father died, the will said Nick needed to be married to get his full inheritance. His father wanted to protect Nick's money. Nick agreed to the marriage to save his father's old business. He hated my stepmother for what she had done. He thought I was with her. Then it was my turn. I told him about my life after my father passed away. My stepmother controlled everything. She made me feel like I had no home, no money, and no job. I felt completely alone. She threatened to throw me out if I did not marry him. I had no help. I felt like I had no choice. I was scared to be homeless. As we talked, our anger changed. It was no longer anger at each other. It was shared anger towards my stepmother. We both saw how she had used us and lied for her own gain. This talk brought us closer. We began to understand each other. My strange feelings about him lessened. A new feeling, a shared understanding, grew between us. We were not enemies. We were two people caught by her bad actions. 6. We make a plan. Nick and I sat in the large living room. The house still felt big, but something was different. The cold feeling was leaving. We were no longer strangers. We were two people tricked by the same person. We looked at each other, and a clear idea formed. We could work together. "We need a plan," Nick said, his voice steady. "Yes," I agreed. "We need to show her what she did." Our first step was simple. We would act like a happy couple. My stepmother thought she had won. She thought we were just her puppets. But we would surprise her. We would pretend to be a loving husband and wife. This act would make her feel safe. She would not expect us to fight back. We would smile for her and make sure she saw us together often. Our main goal was to find strong proof. We needed clear evidence of her lies and her crimes. She had stolen money from Nick's father. She had also lied to both of us about the marriage. This proof was important. It would help us take away her power and make her pay. I thought about my stepmother's house. I knew where her private office was. When she was out, I could go inside. I would look for important papers. Maybe she kept old business documents or secret letters there. It would be dangerous, but I was ready to try. I told Nick my idea. He listened and nodded. "Be very careful," he warned. "She is a very clever woman." Nick had his own important part of the plan. He knew many people, his contacts. These were people who could help him find information. He would use them to look for her old business records. He wanted to see how she had done business with his father. He believed these records would show her dishonest actions. We decided to share everything we found, putting all the pieces together. Every day, we spent more time together. We ate all our meals at the same table, talking about our progress. We also talked about everyday things like the weather or books. Slowly, the quiet and heavy silence in the house began to disappear. It was replaced by our voices, quiet conversations, and sometimes real laughter. I noticed Nick was changing. He used to look very serious. Now he started to smile more often. His eyes, once sharp and distant, now looked softer when he looked at me. He seemed less angry, more relaxed, and even a little happy. It was a good change to see, and I was changing too. I started to laugh again. For a long time, I had felt only sadness and being trapped. But now, with Nick, I felt a new emotion. It was a feeling of safety. I was surprised by this. I had been forced to marry him. But now I felt safe when he was near. It was a strange feeling, but a very good one. We were a team now, working together against a common enemy. This shared goal made us strong. We knew our journey was long, but we were ready to face it together. We had a plan, and we had each other. 7. Love comes. While Nick and I worked together to find proof against my stepmother, something truly unexpected began to grow between us. Our plan to act like a happy couple slowly became more real with each passing day. We spent many hours together, searching for old papers, looking through documents, and talking about my stepmother's past actions. In the beginning, our talks were only about our main plan. But soon, we started to talk about many other things too. We shared small stories from our lives, moments from our childhoods, and even our simple hopes for the future. We learned about each other's favorite foods, the music we liked, and our quiet dreams. I noticed small but important changes in our daily life. Nick started to cook for me sometimes. He made simple meals like pasta or soup, but they were always warm and tasted very good. It was a new and comforting feeling for me, having someone prepare food for me after so long. I often found myself staying up late in the evening, waiting for him to come home from his meetings or business calls. When I finally heard his car arrive, a small, warm feeling would start in my chest. I did not understand this new feeling at first, but it was pleasant. Our conversations became longer and much easier. We would sit in the living room after dinner, just talking about anything that came to mind. Sometimes we would laugh together, and my laughter felt light and free. I had not laughed much since my father passed away 2 years ago. Nick's smile, which was very rare at first, became more and more common. He looked at me differently now, not with anger or coldness, but with a growing softness in his eyes. I started to feel truly safe and protected when he was near me. This was a big surprise, as our marriage had begun with so much pressure and sadness. One evening, we were looking at some old business documents from my stepmother's company. The room was quiet, with only the soft sound of turning pages. We were sitting close to each other at a large wooden table. Nick pointed to a name on a paper, and his hand gently brushed against mine. He did not pull his hand away. Instead, he slowly and gently held my hand. My heart started to beat very, very fast. It was a new feeling, strong and warm, filling me completely. I looked up at him, and his eyes met mine. In that single moment, everything seemed to change. I saw a deep kindness and understanding in his eyes. I realized then, with a clear mind and a full heart, that I was falling in love with Nick. It was the man I was forced to marry, the man who was once a complete stranger to me. This love came quietly, without me looking for it or expecting it. It grew from our shared problems and our growing understanding of each other. I could also see in his eyes that he felt the same way about me. There was a quiet understanding between us, a shared feeling that needed no words to be expressed. Our hands stayed together for a long, important moment. It was a silent promise of something new and real between us. This feeling was not part of our original plan to expose my stepmother's lies, but it was a beautiful, truly unexpected gift. Our forced marriage was slowly becoming something true, something deep and meaningful. It was a love that came when we least expected it, right in the middle of our difficult fight against lies and deception. 8. A new life. Finally, after many weeks of hard work, Nick and I found the strong proof we needed. It showed clearly that my stepmother had taken money from Nick's father. She had also lied to us both, making us marry. This was the moment we had waited for. The truth was now in our hands. Nick's lawyer was very good. He took all the evidence to court. We had many papers, bank records, and other important documents. The lawyer presented everything clearly to the judge. My stepmother had no way to hide her actions. She looked very angry in court, but she could not deny the facts. The judge listened carefully to all the information. The court process took some time, but in the end, the decision was made. My stepmother lost everything. She lost her money, her house, and all her power. Her time of controlling our lives was over. It was a big relief. I felt a heavy weight lift from my shoulders. Soon after, I moved my things out of her house. I never saw her again after that day. It was a new beginning for me, a truly fresh start away from her lies and control. Nick and I often talked about what would happen next. Our marriage started in a strange way, not by choice, but by force. Now, the reason for the marriage, getting Nick's money and stopping my stepmother, was gone. We could have chosen to end our marriage. We could have divorced and gone our separate ways. Many people might have expected us to do that, but we did not want to. During our time working together, a real connection had grown between us. It was something true and strong. We had faced a difficult challenge together, and through it, we had found each other. Our marriage began as a lie, a trick played on us both, but it slowly, surprisingly, turned into real love. We learned to trust, to care, and to support each other. We built something honest from a dishonest beginning. Today, I am very happy. I am proud to be Nick's wife. Our life together is full of honest moments and shared dreams. We have built a home filled with understanding and love. Every day, I am thankful for the unexpected path that led us here. What started as a forced union became the most important relationship of my life. We look forward to many more years together, building our new life, free from the shadows of the past.